Hey everybody, here's a garden update for the end of April of 2019. So there's lots of activity here in the backyard garden. Last week we had a lot of rain, so things started to come up with all that rain. Now we've had a couple of days of sun and warm weather, but next week we're going to get a lot of rain too, maybe all week. So we got to get stuff done in the garden so we can get ready for that. So here's the garden update to show you what we've been doing. Lots of changes. We'll show you here in just a second. Alright folks, let's start with the garden update of the things that we've been doing. So I'll take you out to the front of the yard because we've been doing some activity here. If you remember, we got a big load of mulch in. It's almost gone now. You can see that that pile of mulch is much smaller. Now, unfortunately, in the mulch, there was lots of pieces of wood like this. So if you ever use tree service like chipdrop.com, and if you tell them, yeah, I can take probably a few logs, well, be careful because sometimes they'll give you a lot of logs, and this is just what's left. We had a whole bunch of logs fall out of the back of the truck like this, and well, once they're dumping it, it's kind of too late. So I had a nice neighbor help me chop them all down. But here's what we're doing here. This has kind of been a year in making. So last year I was clearing this out, this part of the lawn, and putting mulch here, and you can see that it's got a nice fresh layer of mulch. But what we're doing is planting the hibiscus. This is the Jamaican hibiscus that you've probably seen us plant here in the garden. I've planted them fairly close together. They've been able to do fine that way. But I got about 8 plants. So the reason why I'm doing it here is because last time we had the hibiscus against the house where these flowers were. And the thing is, they get really big, really tall, really thick. And if you want to have flowers in this little space, well, they get crowded out. So as you can see, we've got nice flowers here that we're planting, and they'll be able to thrive and do well here without the giant hibiscus, because honestly, those hibiscus, kind of like this little tree here, they don't get that tall, but they do get big like that, and they sprout out with side branches, and it gets so heavy it tips over. So what I'll have to do is get my T-trellis and, you know, hold them up that way. But you can see that I started them indoors with the seeds from last year's plants. They make a lot of seed pods, and these are the 8 plants that I have put in. And they're big. They're starting to show secondary leaves after the seed leaves. So that's what we're doing to put them out now here at the end of April, because once it gets hot, they love hot. If we go to the front here, you can see that the plants are starting to come up. You can see elephant ears and some of the other plants from last year coming up. We got some elephant ears here too at the end. One of the things that I planted over here was a cardoon from seed, so we've got that planted in here. But the elephant ears, some of the other plants that we'll be getting ready to plant. Here's another cardoon. I really like them. They're big and ornamental, and you can eat them too. So I planted those. I need to water this area in. But yeah, starting to put some plants out here in the front. Now as we work our way back around here, I've had these for quite some time in a pot, and now I finally got around to planting them. These are bay bushes, I guess. I think it'll be more of a shrub than a tree, but it's a bay leaf plant. So when you use bay in your soups or stews or cooking, these are what they look like when they're growing. So I figure I got a little empty blank room here, you know, where the garden gate is. So we'll put those 2 there, and who knows what else we can kind of stick in and around the bigger plants. But yeah, so just a little bit of mulch left, and that's the front of the yard. And as we open the gate door, how are we doing out here? Well, this is usually the shade side of the house, but now that it's April, it is now the sun side, the sunny side, not so much shade. So I've put 2 cucumber plants in there. There's a rogue potato coming up. Here's some onion plants that I've had in here. In the second one, I've had some peas growing. You can see lots of flowers on the peas. We've picked a few, but also something starting to eat it. We've noticed some caterpillars starting to invade the garden, so we have to deal with that with some you know, stuff that kills them but won't kill us. So some you know, things that aren't poison or toxic to humans but to the bugs. Here is Japanese mustard that's growing really well. Looks like somebody's starting to nibble on the outside leaves. And then we have some chives and onions. So this side of the garden is starting to get a little bit productive now. You know, as soon as it gets hot though, those peas are going to be done. They don't like the hot weather. So that's the front and the little shade side. We'll continue on with part 2 next.